I should have known this job was a mistake when the guy hired me without even flipping over my resume. He just squinted at the top line and grunted, "You're hired, Dino." He pronounced it Dino, like he was spitting out a piece of bad crust. "It's actually Dino," I corrected him, "like the dinosaur." He didn't laugh. He was a slab of a man, the rough-looking Italian type who definitely kept a notched baseball bat under the counter for mouthy teens. His eyes drifted down to my shirt, wrinkled, stained, and proudly displaying the words, "Peak Mediocrity." "Honesty," he muttered, his voice like gravel in a blender. "I like that. We don't need heroes here. We need survivors." "Thanks," I said, already looking for the exit. "Are you good at following rules?" "I'm mediocre at—" "Listen to me," he barked, leaning over the grease-slicked counter. The smell of oregano and stale cigarettes rolled off him. "There are some rules you have to follow, for safety. Your safety, mostly. Others I can let slide. I don't give a damn if you smoke weed in the car or show up late with your eyes bloodshot, but if a rule is written on a red flag on the box, you follow it to the letter. No questions. No shortcuts." I hadn't even agreed to the wage yet, and the weed in the car comment felt uncomfortably on the nose. But before I could ask about the hourly rate or what exactly these red flag rules entailed, he slammed a cardboard box onto the counter. It was heavy, unusually heavy. He shoved the pizza into my chest and pointed a thick, scarred finger at a set of rusted keys hanging from a pegboard. "Take the gremlin in the back lot. Address is on the slip. Move fast, Dino. The sun's already getting low." The address was only a few blocks away. The red note taped to the box was blunt. "Close your eyes when you reach the address. Put the pizza inside on the table. Do not open your eyes." The boss was holding a $50 bill between his index and middle finger. He held my gaze, then looked at the red flag, then back at me. It wasn't a tip. It was a bribe for my survival. I took the bill. "Got it," I said, trying to sound cooler than I felt. "Eyes closed, no problemo." It turned out to be a big problem. The address was so close I probably could have walked, but the boss insisted on the car, claiming the GPS was the only thing that could find the place. He wasn't lying. I circled the block 3 times before the house seemed to shimmer into existence out of the shadows, like a glitch in the urban landscape. It was a small, decaying structure, pinned between 2 modern high-rises, a stubborn tooth that refused to be pulled. I parked, walked up the gravel path, and pulled a blindfold over my eyes. I wasn't taking chances with my own willpower. I knocked, my heart drumming against my ribs. "Hello?" a kid's voice chirped as the door creaked open, high-pitched, maybe 8 years old. "Pizza delivery," I said to the darkness of my blindfold. "Oh, great, thank you." I waited for the kid to take the box. My arms started to ache. You gonna take it?" "Why are you wearing a blindfold?" the kid asked. I couldn't tell if it was a boy or a girl. The voice was just sweet. Too sweet. "Trade secret. You want the pizza or what? Can you put it on the table?" I sighed. Putting it on the table was the rule. "Fine. Which way?" "Straight ahead." I stepped over the threshold and immediately felt the temperature drop. The air was still, heavy with the scent of old wood and something else I couldn't place. The kid turned it into a game. Warmer, colder, colder, warmer, hot. I slammed my knee into a hard edge. "Just kidding. It's to your left. No, Other left. This little shit, I thought, my frustration finally outweighing my fear. It felt ridiculous, stumbling around like a fool in a stranger's house. Finally, my hands found the edge of a wooden table. I slid the pizza onto it, feeling a wave of relief. "Which way is the door?" I asked, my voice tight. The kid giggled. It wasn't a normal giggle. It was rhythmic, like a recording on a loop. I spent 5 minutes in a humiliating circle, following the kid's directions until I grew a spine. I ignored the voice, felt for a wall, and traced it. I opened one door, but the smell that hit me, sour, wet, like a butcher shop's dumpster in July, made me slam it shut instantly. I kept moving until I felt the brush of night air on my face. "Wait!" the kid called out. "Mom and Dad said to give you a tip." Greed is a powerful motivator for someone whose resume says peak mediocrity. I stopped and held out my hand. "Here," the kid said. I felt a crumpled bill graze my knuckles before it hit the floor. "Oops," the kid whispered. I swore under my breath and dropped to my knees, patting the carpet. In that split second, pure reflex took over. My eyes flickered open behind the blindfold, just enough to catch a glimpse through the gap at the bridge of my nose. I saw the crumpled 20, and right next to it, I saw a pair of massive pale feet with thick yellowed nails and coarse black hair sprouting from the toes. That wasn't an 8-year-old. I snatched the bill, squeezed my eyes shut, and scrambled out the door. "Enjoy the pizza!" I shouted, my voice cracking. I didn't look back until I was locked inside the gremlin, chest heaving, the blindfold ripped off and discarded on the passenger seat. Back at the shop, the boss didn't even look up from his dough. "You followed the rules, right?" Yeah. Ish." "The hell is ish?" He glared at me, his flour-covered hands pausing. "You either did or you didn't." "I'm just wondering, why the rules? Why the blindfold for a kid?" The boss sighed, a long, weary sound. Dino. Let me tell you about the last girl. Simple rules for an apartment delivery. Door will be unlocked. Leave the pizza on the coffee table. Touch nothing. Take nothing. She took something. Didn't even mean to, probably. A trinket. A pen. Who knows? She doesn't work here anymore. The way he said it made my skin crawl. It wasn't, "She got fired." It was, "She ceased to exist." He tossed a massive, extra-large shirt at me. "Your uniform. You're staying, right?" I looked at the shirt, then at the $100 bill he was now holding. I'm not a tomboy. I'm just too lazy to put effort into looking like anything else. I pulled the tent-sized shirt on over my own. "Just pay attention to the red flags, Dino. You can last a long time if you just do what you're told." He handed me the next box. The red flag was identical to the one that ruined the last girl. Door will be unlocked. Leave the pizza on the coffee table. Touch nothing. Take nothing. The address was a 15-minute drive to a motel that looked like the birthplace of every urban legend I'd ever heard. Only one window was lit, casting a sickly yellow glow onto the cracked asphalt. I stared at the note. I thought about my name, Dinosaur, a name chosen by 4-year-old me because my hippie parents thought I was ready to shape my own identity. If that choice didn't prove I was bad at decision-making, taking this second delivery certainly did. "Don't touch anything, Dino," I told myself. "Just the table, just the pizza." I stepped out of the car, the silence of the motel pressing in on my ears like water. I got out of the car, snatched up the pizza, and headed up the darkened stairs. The metal steps resounded under my boots, clanging like a warning bell in the dead quiet. I walked along the outdoor walkway, counting the rooms. I had to use my flashlight to see the numbers because, again, this place was a void, pitch dark, except for that one jaundiced light in the window of room 213. I knocked. No answer. Only the hum of a distant highway and the thud of my own heart. I knew I was supposed to go in, but I was irrationally, or totally rationally, terrified. After waiting a few seconds, I tried the handle. It turned with a click, and the door swung open with zero resistance. I wasn't prepared for what was inside. I stepped in to my own apartment. It made no sense. My brain actually stalled out, like an engine trying to start in sub-zero weather. This was my shitty little studio, exactly the way I'd left it this morning. In the far corner, my unmade bed sat on the floor, right down where my expectations tend to be. My dishes were in the sink in the tiny kitchen, a growing monument to my procrastination, smelling faintly of 3-day-old sauce. Beside the door was the trash I'd forgotten to take out. Touch nothing, take nothing. I stood there, paralyzed, holding that heavy pizza box. Was this a joke? A test? A delusional episode brought on by the stress of being named after a prehistoric reptile? I tried to remember if I was high. I didn't think so, but at this point, I would have preferred it. I stepped deeper into the room, walking toward the coffee table. It had a plate on it, crumbs, and half a can of a warm energy drink. I set the pizza down amid the mess and stepped back. Then, the details started to itch. It wasn't exactly my apartment. It was a replica built by someone who had seen a picture, but didn't know the soul of the place. That plate? It was generic white ceramic, not the specific, chipped one I'd found at a thrift store. The dishes in the sink were the right shape, but the patterns were off. The coffee table was the same brand, but it was brand new, lacking the water rings and the cigarette burn on the left corner. It was a sterile, slightly more commercial version of my life. Creepy? Beyond words. I already had a list of questions for the boss that started with, "What the hell?" and ended with, "I quit." But then I saw it, and this time, oh, this wasn't a replica. Sitting on the electronics cabinet, right next to the router and the PlayStation, was the urn. It was the only thing in my life I actually gave a damn about. It held Daisy's ashes. I knew every loop and swirl of the handwritten messages my siblings and I had scrawled on it when we said goodbye. It was the original. It was mine. My hand reached out before I could think. My fingers were inches from the cool ceramic when a sound cut through the silence. A dog barked. Just once. High and sharp, right outside the door. It sounded exactly like Daisy used to when she wanted a treat. That bark was the only thing that snapped me back to the red flag. Take nothing. If I took the urn, was I taking something that didn't belong in this motel room? Or was I reclaiming my property? The rule didn't specify. I looked at the urn. Then I thought about the girl who didn't work here anymore. I swallowed hard. Daisy, when she was alive, would have given that urn one sniff and walked away in search of a dropped pepperoni. She wouldn't want me to end up like the previous delivery girl for the sake of a jar of dust. "Sorry, girl," I whispered. I backed away eyes fixed on the urn until I hit the door. I slipped out into the cold night air and pulled the door shut on the replica of my life. I was halfway down the metal stairs, my knees feeling like jelly, when I heard the footsteps. "Hey, girl!" rasped a voice behind me. I spun around, my flashlight beam cutting through the dark like a blade. The girl leering at me from the landing wore a t-shirt with the same pizza delivery logo as mine. She looked about my age, but her skin had turned the color of a wet sidewalk. Grayish, mottled, and stretched too thin over her cheekbones. Even from 10 feet away, she smelled like the room I'd opened earlier, a butcher shop's dumpster in the middle of July. Around her neck, she wore a choker made of some black, spiny material that looked less like jewelry and more like a parasite digging into her throat. "Dino, wasn't it?" she rasped. Her voice sounded like dry leaves skittering over pavement. "You might make it longer than I did. You're better at resisting the souvenirs." She held something up in her hand, the urn. My heart plummeted. But as I watched, the ceramic blurred. The handwritten messages from my siblings began to writhe like worms, and the whole jar unfurled, sharpening into a cluster of obsidian thorns. It was a necklace, identical to the one digging into her gray skin. She winked at me, a wet, sickening sound. "Do me a favor, Dino, since you have this chance. Get a uniform in your size. I prefer to look good when I wear someone new." My blood turned to ice. She wasn't talking about the shirt. She was talking about me. "Oh, and one more thing," she added, her grin widening to reveal too many teeth. "Don't always trust the boss. There's a red flag for him too. You just haven't seen the slip yet." I didn't wait for her to finish. I bolted. My boots thundered down the metal stairs, and I didn't stop until I was inside the gremlin with the doors locked and the engine screaming. Now, I'm sitting in a parking lot a few blocks away, staring at the dashboard. I still have the $100 bill in my pocket. I still have the oversized shirt on my back, the one the boss just happened to have ready for me, the one that could fit 3 of me, or maybe just one of me and whatever that girl has become. I need the rent money, I really do, and my parents, well, moving back home means admitting that Dinosaur really wasn't fit to make her own decisions. I look at the next pizza box sitting on the passenger seat. There's a red flag on it. I haven't read it yet. Maybe I'll do just one more delivery. If I don't update this soon, it might mean I'm saying hi to Daisy again. And this time, it won't be a recording behind a motel door.